I certainly can. There we go. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 2016 LCK Champions Korea Summer. It's, of course, sponsored by Coca-Cola Zero. We are back for yet another week. It's week 6, a little bit of a shorter week. Let's go over some of our match points. If MVP do pick up 2 wins, they could actually climb all the way, out of contention for the middle of the standings. But for Longzhu, this is their final match. If they get these 3 wins, then they will be able to climb out of their position at the bottom of the standings, which is a place that they and CJ have occupied all season long. To Longzhu actually started to climb out of that. MVP, though, they're the big ones on the climb with 4 wins in a row, or 4 game wins in a row over teams like Jin Air and CJ, and they're just looking great.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking really good, but I think that the story, though, that's going to be this week is what's going to happen to ADD in the top lane, because a lot of their wins came via the Shen pick. And Shen been picking up a ton of traction on Korean solo queue, with a lot of people beginning to pick him up. And then answers being found to him as well, and lane swaps being used against him. So I think that's definitely going to be a focal point, because we saw in one of the games where they won, but ADD was on Trundle.
Right.
He was a little underwhelming.
Yeah, you could tell that it was the not Shen champion, so it was a little bit shaky, and it reminded you of all of those other games that ADD had played. Coming into their game versus SKT, ADD had the lowest KDA in champions.
Yeah.
And this is below guys like Core JJ, who came in and overtook him as he had his first game last week. But ADD still in a little bit of struggle town. He is the 3rd worst CS deficit at 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, and then at 10 minutes, he has, I think, the 5th lowest gold amount.
Yep.
So he is really, really struggling in a lot of ways. However, champions like Shen can make up for all of that, because even if he's behind, he can help the rest of his team get ahead. Right.
And so, but the problem is with the meta shifting away from support utility tank top laners, Shen being one of the very few ones that remain right now, it may be problematic. Now, it's also a little bit surprising to note, because ADD is extremely high up on the Korean solo queue ladder, and that's not a feat that you can do without being mechanically adept.
I know you've been laddering lately.
Yeah.
Feeling some struggles.
Feeling some struggles as I approach Master Tier again. But moving on from that, again, hopefully the meta will adjust a little bit. Also, I'm curious to see if he's going to pull out any Hecarim. Because Hecarim, while he isn't necessarily known as a utility top laner, he does sort of fill a role that ADD might be able to find a comfort in. So that could be beneficial to MVP as a whole.
Hecarim's actually been catching on in a lot of different regions. I remember a couple of NA analysts tweeted out that combo between Hecarim and Cassiopeia.
Right.
Yeah, man, that is the sickest thing, because you can fear them
ultimate.
So that they face into Cassiopeia's ult, and then you just bust them. It's so cool to watch. However, Cassiopeia, while we've seen her, I think, twice over this week,
she has been getting picked in solo queue.
Okay, all right.
She has been
on the rise.
Cassiopeia has definitely been getting picked in solo queue recently in the higher tiers, much more than recently, as well as Vigar, but I know that's something I talked about for about the past 2 weeks, but we haven't really seen Vigar make too big of an impact here in LCK Summer.
Yeah, the other thing we've talked about as well has been the top lane champion pool on patch 6.12. The Trinity Force buffs let things like Irelia and Jax become very big. However, we haven't seen Jax in Korea quite yet.
Well,
wait,
one of the reasons...
I think he was picked maybe in some of the games that we didn't cast last week. Actually, no, still no Jax. No Alawi either.
Yeah,
so
no Alawi.
Has Alawi's time come and gone?
I've actually talked to some of the pros about Alawi, and I honestly just continue to think that she's getting the Tahm Kench treatment.
Oh boy.
So a completely disgusting, overpowered champion, as long as you take the time to actually learn how to use her. But because
is Tahm Kench getting the her treatment? Because I know there's some buffs coming in for him.
Oh, Tahm, yeah, everyone's about to get on Tom's boat in 6.13. I'm really excited for that. So, but Alawi, yeah, not getting picked very much. Shen, definitely one of the top-tier top laners right now. Irelia. Jax, not so much, because there is the Shen answer and there is the Trundle answer to him. So Irelia sort of just is a better version right now.
A better version of Shen. Well, a better version of us, of course, are these players as we get into game number 1 between MVP and Longzhu, of course, starting out here with our ban MVP, of course, on their home colors on the blue side. I guess that's both teams' home colors because they are both blue. And there is that Irelia ban versus Xpeke. I don't think there's too many surprises there. Irelia, one of, if not the strongest top laner out there. Queen of the Jungle, Nidalee, has dropped a little bit in the ban percentage. It used to be 100% pick or ban. Now it's starting to be a little bit less, and of course Elise there kind of coming up in the ban percent, getting to see a lot of play there. Yeah,
with the changes to Nidalee, as well as just some changes that occurred to other junglers, as well as other champions that have entered into the meta, Elise is just a monster right now, and it's very difficult for a lot of junglers to keep up. Also, the fall of Kindred.
Oh boy.
You know, not that she's not picked ever, but not as dominant as she once was.
And these last 2 bans are actually the ones that matter most to MVP. Yep. Banning out Ian's main champion in Varus, and of course the one of the only champions that ADD has found a lot of success on this season in Shen. So that answers the Shen question. But Beyond is going to get a first pick Rek'Sai here. So what do you think about that as a first pick for him?
Rek'Sai is a pretty safe first pick. It can basically be flexed, not necessarily into a position, but it's very flexible in terms of team comps. And because it's a first pick, it enables you to gain more information from the opponent, because obviously they have to respond with 2 picks first, and it is an S-tier jungler right now.
Okay.
So, you know, nothing uncommon to see there. The response by Jhin Vladimir, a little bit suspect, considering the Jhin gives away definitely one of the aspects of your team comp. Vladimir, not so much, but he definitely has answers. So it's a little surprising to see it done that way.
And Longzhu insta-locked those, so they were super sure about that. Vladimir, extremely popular nowadays in the mid lane. Jhin, not so much. So picking that early, little bit interesting to see. There is Ian locking in the Trundle for ADD, maybe for Max, but most likely for ADD. It's been his fallback when he can't get Shen, but it has been a little bit up and down, so definitely a pick to keep an eye on.
Well, we might actually see the Twitch come out, and this is one of the new, well, I don't think we'd see a Twitch come out, unless that's going to be a top lane Vladimir and a mid lane Jhin. In which case you would have an AD carry Twitch.
Top lane Vlad isn't a thing, though.
Well, it is sometimes.
Okay.
Like, really rarely it's been getting picked. Primarily against Swain, against Trundle, against Shen. They do pick it up in the top lane. They do not do it against Hecarim. They do not do it against Aurelia.
So some flexibility coming out here. Yeah. Maybe that top lane Vladimir, but the Karma pick could also be a flex between the mid lane and the support. If that Vlad is still maybe going top, Thresh, though, would be locked into the support role, and that's what's going to get picked up there. Longzhu and a few other teams, CJ, I think, ran the jungle Gragas. Still not sure exactly why Gragas is out there. I feel like there's still a lot of strong picks. What do you think about the Gragas lock-in?
Well, with Nidalee and Elise being banned, the only other S-tier or A-tier jungler that's really available right now is Gragas, with Rek'Sai having already been picked. I mean, I suppose that there is Hecarim if they want to make use of the Hecarim jungle with
Graves.
Graves is available as well. One of the things, though, with Graves is if you have a Vladimir picked and a Jhin already, Graves doesn't really provide the type of niche that your team comp needs.
Okay.
In order to really provide, you know, the CC and crowd demanding attention, not necessarily crowd control, coming out of him. So I can definitely see why Gragas is being picked there.
Well, we all got a chance to see Ian's LeBlanc last week. It looked so good. Like, that was Faker level LeBlanc. He was absolutely dominant. Didn't quite get that 25 stack Magi's, but there is an Anivia locked in, and that's an Anivia into Vladimir. We've seen that matchup a lot, and even though it is you know, questioned around the world, at least here in Korea, certainly seems like Anivia does pretty well against Vladimir.
Yeah, Anivia is considered Vladimir's hardest counter in Korea. And I know that's
funny how that could be opposite elsewhere in the world. But
go anywhere else in the world, people think that Vladimir does fine against Anivia, but not here. So also that is a little bit surprising, because you have to know that if you do first pick Vladimir, there's a very high chance they just instantly respond with Anivia. But that does give you the ability to prepare, you know, coming into the picks and bans. Like, okay, if we pick this, there's a high chance they pick Anivia, and then you can sort of sculpt picks and bans around that. Now,
Xpeke could get his Fiora. That would be insanity.
Well, if he does get Fiora, it is going to be a rough matchup. Oh, Rumble.
Yeah, he was hovering over Rumble earlier, and so it's either going to be Rumble, Gnar, Fiora, and it's the Gnar locked in.
Yep.
So one strategy that some teams have employed against MVP, including the last time that ADD played Trundle, is just to dumpster him. Because he's been a weak link for MVP before, and a lot of teams will focus that top lane to try to keep him from ever getting very big. Trundle, high utility on the ultimate, but ultimately you do have to show up at some point.
Yeah, and so probably MVP will go for a lane swap here. Now it's going to be up on Longzhu to match that. As the game progresses, though, it's basically going to come down to a battle of positioning because MVP's team comp is basically a pseudo pick comp via all the walls that they have. You have Anivia's wall, you have Trundle's pillar, and you're going to have the Sivir speed up. So basically, the way that MVP is going to look to control the mid and the later stages of the game is Sivir ultimate into Anivia wall with Trundle pillar, get a pick, translate that into some neutral objective. As long as Longzhu can, have superior vision control, they're going to be able to control the map with Jhin.
Well, when it comes to Longzhu, it's always interesting to see what they can and can't control. But for MVP, they have not been able to control their rise from the bottom up towards the top of the standings. It's been looking good, very good for them, but will ADD be a weak point? Will MVP be able to continue their large win streak? And will Longzhu be able to climb out from the bottom? Let's find out as we get into game number 1. Their cheers out of the way. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Summoner's Rift. What are Summoners? Whose Rift is it? Nobody knows, but that's where we are. We are here in the Nexon Arena in Seoul, South Korea. You guys are watching either here in person or online. Welcome you to Longzhu versus MVP with ADD getting in the first chomp of the game.
Yep, and
Max there for moral support.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're trying to bait Xpeke into the Bush of Darkness. It's the Dark Scary Woods. Oh, and they get his flash, actually. There's Beyond. They're actually going for it. They're going to get first blood already. A little bit of an interesting, maybe semi-Gouda Limburger-y strategy there, but wow, it pays off.
I mean, those were some really nice psychological tactics with the delayed, the delay to the reinforcements there. And picking up a first blood on Trundle is pretty big. Now, I don't like the fact that he went for Longsword. I just feel like...
What else do you buy, like a cloth armor or something like that?
Well, can you go Cull? Cull's gold. What's that for? I actually don't know.
Oh, that is true. You could actually... No, that's 450.
Yeah, 450.
Okay,
yeah.
So the stats
he'd have to sell the potion and maybe wait a bit, and that's not worth it because then you'd give up teleport advantage. So that's not going to be the best. But I guess, yeah, I think cloth armor or even boots, honestly, would be probably more effective because, again, this is the new top lane meta where level 3 and level 4 ganks are extremely potent. And with that Rek'Sai and Gnar not having flash, if you can knock Gnar out of his jump with the pillar or anything, if you can get a flank on him, it's really easy kills.
Right, and as you saw there on the graph that was up a little bit earlier, the title for this broadcast is We Saw the Devil, and so for MVP, that's speaking to them playing against SKT, getting completely stomped, and they've 2-0'd ever since then. So great performances from them, a lot of early trades here. Max actually does eat that captive audience. He's actually going to be forced to Summoner heal there. Nice Unbreakable will keep him alive for a little bit longer, and he actually does save his Ignite, and Maha saves his flash, so it was a little bit dicey there. Max getting a little over-eager.
Yeah, and I think they could have found a way to actually get a kill there had they just, timed that a little bit better. But nonetheless, really good trade by Longzhu in the bot lane. And then we look towards the standard mid lane right now. And basically, the story of mid lane is Coco needs to outfarm Ian until, Ian reaches level 6, 7, 8. Generally, that's when Anivia just takes over the matchup and Vladimir has no responses remaining. So that's all that we can expect to see.
So talk about maybe what Coco did right there. Okay, I can't even talk about that because now we're about to see Max have some little bit of an issue. So close. And yet,
well, he has to be pretty careful because Jin's 4th bullet, probably not anymore, but there was a very thin timing where...
Beyond's waiting there. Oh my gosh, Fury went for it!
Well, you see, I was saying that he couldn't do it, so I knew he couldn't do it. But Fury not having the damage.
He's got to figure that out, man. You never improve unless you test your limits.
I suppose if the W hits, it would have been close. I think
he's got Deathfire touch too.
Right, you do have Deathfire touch, but I still think that's extremely thin, and so the damage foresight there I think is a little bit questionable. Perhaps if Pure flashes as well for an auto attack, I guess it's acceptable. But even still, devoting that many resources, this early on, I don't think that it's worth it.
I mean, if you get a kill, maybe you snowball off that, and then it's all worth it in the end anyway. If you don't, then you look like what Fury just did. And to be fair, I think, who's it? Emperor has been a consistent liability for Longzhu. So seeing Fury in here getting more playtime definitely has been working out better for Longzhu. Now they're still definitely struggling. They have, 25% win rate? 6 out of 12. I guess that's 33? I'm not going to do math on stream. That's the rule. But either way, the Longzhu win rate's been struggling this season. Fury's been bringing it back. So it'll definitely be on him to maybe succeed at some more of those plays as the game goes on, because the rest of his team could definitely use that.
And this is actually really nice, by the way. If we take a look at top lane right now, ADD is ahead. Now that is a little bit misleading because there's a giant minion wave that Expression is probably going to be able to pick up all of. But still, he's not doing so badly, and you know that's actually problematic for Gnar because this is a lane where Gnar is supposed to get ahead of Trundle.
You know, I actually called him Expression the first time I cast it because I was like, surely somebody just made a mistake and left the R out of his name, but no! It's actually just Expression, and it's that way deliberately. I haven't heard the exact logic behind it, but as far as I can tell, and Beyond, he is going to go Beyond, ganking through the walls. He does get the flash. There's the stun. The damage from the concussive blows, and Maha picking up a kill after a masterful gank by Beyond. That guy is #2 in MVP points, and well-deserved.
Yep. And we saw both the teleports come down. Had, you know, Expression not responded with a teleport, then Pure would also die there to Trundle, and that would immediately translate into a Drake, even though no team really wants that dragon.
It is a Cloud Drake, so unless you really do need that extra move speed to travel around the map, then probably not a high priority going into the early game. Man, Beyond, it just looks so good. And so in the face of Beyond, the contrast to that has been ADD, who has looked great on Shen, but here on this Trundle, very interesting strat to start the game off. They're like, well, maybe ADD is going to struggle a little bit in that matchup. Let's get him that first blood. And he did turn it into the longsword, but it's still going to help out maybe one of the weak links of their team.
Yep. And, you know, not so bad so far. Again, now, the whole thing is MVP is doing everything that they need to do, and they've obtained a nice little lead so far. So, after Blue is handed off to Anivia, that's probably directly going to synergize with AVP.
ADD just drops the ult.
Yeah, just drops the ult, and I'm not totally sure what that is. I think it's just to apply pressure so that Gnar doesn't have any gank synergy.
Right. A little bit like when Victor's just ult the wave in mid lane. This one's not for wave clear, just to establish dominance, you know?
Yep, and you saw a ping go down onto red. So Beyond thinks that Chaser is at red. Now he knows that he's here now.
Oh boy, well, ADD went forward. He's out of mana. Chaser versus Beyond, though. Not sure Beyond's really going to have too good a time there, because Expression can collapse from the top there. There's actually the explosive cast. Expression gets a little bit scared there. Beyond actually will go down, and now ADD might be the next to fall. A double bounce on in there. Expression might turn this one back around, but with no ult there. Oh, ADD! He might be able to outplay this. Oh, the body slam misses! And the barrel misses too! I'm losing my mind here in my vocal cords. Ian's gonna come up from the mid lane. Chaser's gonna try to execute, but Ian makes the play. What am I watching here, LS? Help me out, man. Get a stretcher. Longzhu, I'm looking in their booth. They're on the floor. Looks like they're having some blunt force trauma in there.
Oh, man.
Holy cow.
I guess you could say that Chaser chased a little too far
I mean, he's living up to his name, man, but I don't know. I mean, I just actually started playing ranked on the Korean server a few weeks ago. Yeah, I've seen that play, man. My silver promos were full of that.
I make that play a lot on Gragas. But no, so that was actually really unfortunate. That would have been a huge victory for Longzhu had Gragas just not missed that body slam. And it's it's really interesting how that one body slam now completely changes the entire course of the game.
Now, why does that body slam, or that kill, or that death, rather, change the game more so than that first blood that we saw ADD get?
Well, it doesn't enable Ian to accelerate faster in this lane with Coco right now, and also we can notice that Coco is not doing the type of job that he needs to be doing
to pressure early on.
Ian. Right, and now also because of that, Beyond is going to have a lot more freedom, and he's not going to be as restricted.
Oh man, baiting it out there, and Max up in the front lines. Pure going to get ganked again, same way, and Maha's just going to flash on in for the hit confirm. Now here comes the curtain call. Max is just like, you really don't want to do that. Cancels it with a nice glacial fissure. Max is just dictating the pace of this Beyond with expert ganks down here, and Maha's cashing in for the big bucks.
Yep, and I was actually about to say that I don't think the Braum ultimate was necessary, and I think that was a little bit
yeah,
stylish.
It's style points, man.
Right. And that's not something that you want to be doing in professional play.
That is true.
Nonetheless, it looks like they actually have an opportunity where they threaten the tower, and we're about to jump into a replay real quick.
This tunnel here is super long range. This is from downtown, Beyond.
This is such a cookie-cutter classic bait.
Second time in a row.
So, yeah, it was actually really nice to see this happen. And then, Fury puts on his ultimate. And this would be good if Gragas was coming, but Gragas a little bit busy with blue. So nothing happening there.
Nice dodge there on the Flash Frost from Coco, so he is not going to be stunned up. Ian, though, going for the maximum stacks on his build, but here comes Chaser. Xpeke here as well. A nice stun, perfect executed, and he's forcing to flash out with a wall. Wow. Chaser is getting run into the ground. His ankles are sprained, his legs are broken. He is not in a great spot, man.
His Gragas is drunk.
Get that guy some triage. He is in a rough spot right now.
Yeah.
ADD might be in a little bit of a rough spot too. He doesn't have ult for a little bit longer, but he does make it back out.
Yep. Wow, that was so impressive by Ian.
That guy is actually really good. I actually thought initially Varus and Victor were really the only champions he was able to excel on. Victor because that's sort of his trademark, and or Varus because it's his trademark. Victor because it's sort of the test about whether or not you can play mid lane and can you play Victor in Azir. But his Anivia actually so sick, and maybe a little bit of a struggles from Chaser this game.
Yep. And looks like right now they're moving in to make another play against Longzhu.
Are they going to do the same gank again?
Both teleports are up. Gragas here, Coco, they're sniffing this out.
Oh boy. Beyond's in a great spot. There's the lantern, the flash to pull him all the way in. Maha's gonna go down here. Explosive casket, spell shielded, but the second barrel is the charm. Now Pure, very, very low. He's on the wrong side of the law here. Here comes the curtain call. A teleport coming down from the top lane. Here is Xpeke. Now a big hemo play is gonna hit 3. So Coco's gonna be healing up a lot after all of this one. And Longzhu are actually crushing this. They're gonna find one. They get a double on Fury. And Ian and Max will survive, but a dominant team fight win for Longzhu.
Yeah, and Longzhu immediately looking to take up that dragon. Now, they don't need these 3 people here right now. Coco could just be in mid lane, but we're going to take a look at the replay really quick. And you see that the fight starts, and Longzhu already has too much of an edge in that fight. Basically, Sivir was just deleted from the get-go. Here, Jin's able to just do his thing with the ultimate, and he doesn't even get stopped, so he gets off all 4 bullets. Xpeke comes in, gets walled out, but it's to no avail. And with the hemo plagues up on both the targets in top there, just see there's no hope. So Longzhu just blitzing them, basically to the punch there, and it was too much. Had Maha been alive for that fight, the fight is completely different.
And he had that epic spell shield on the explosive cast, but just couldn't get out of the barrel roll there at the end. And for as much as we've been maligning some of Chaser's mishaps this game, he actually had a great performance there, was able to kill the AD carry, and came back around for the body slam to finish off the rest of the fight. So great performance by him in that gank, and Beyond, the guy that's been crushing this early game, did not look quite so good, even though he was there for the counter.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out right now, by the way, is Trundle's ADD's itemization. The Swifty boots, yes, they do have some slows on their team. They have the Thresh box, they have Nar's boomerang. But honestly, I think Mercury Treads would just be infinitely better after the nerfs that we saw come to Swiftness Boots. So I'm not really liking the itemization because it looks like it's taking a choose-your-own-adventure game.
So the stats they just showed there on the screen, bringing the damage of death. Fury, even though he underperforms in win rate on Jhin, he overperforms in damage compared to the rest of LCK since 2015. So it's a great champion for him. His team's just not winning games when he plays it. So maybe he can boost that win rate up a little bit over the course of this game. Beyond will get the red buff, so Chaser not going to go in for the steal, just getting some deep ward coverage there for Longzhu.
Yep. And it looks like mid lane not being dominated as heavily as you would expect. And hold on,
oh,
Chaser
Beyond's got some friends here, but so does Chaser. Pure, a nice lantern. Maha ulted up from bottom lane. Coco will dodge out that flash frost again.
Oh.
Gives ADD. They're trying to go for that double wall strat. Coco, yeah. he's just walking around. It's like,
walls and pillars. They're trying to build a city.
Need to get some additional walls. That's where the Talia comes in, man.
Yep.
You build the ultimate wall team. Unfortunately, you know, there are some champions that can be played in any lane. Talia currently can be played, well, has been played in no lane, so still need to see her first competitive experience. Have to, I don't know, get Daniel Klein right on that. Be like, we want to see more Talia. Of course, maybe she's just actually secret OP and nobody's figured out how to play her yet.
Yep.
Saw some more Hextech Proto Belt Talias the other day. I'm not really sure how that works. I think the highest win rate build is Rod of Ages into like more of like a tanky utility kind of thing. I don't know. Nobody's played it successfully competitively yet. I'm still holding out for it. But in this wall comp, at least seems to be working very well for Ian and ADD.
And looks like here they're going for it. Looks like, you know, sort of like when someone locks on to the weak lane in solo queue. That's exactly what MVPs seem to be doing.
Well, that's what a lot of teams have done against MVP, crushing ADD a lot. And you did see that successful gank up there to kill him early on. But this time, it's bottom lane. It's like when you see teams play Twisted Fate, you know, super good at ganking duo lanes. They just, you know, gank the same lane over and over again. And that's exactly what's happening here. Beyond committed to staying down there a lot, but now it's Chaser in a great position. Beyond, he threw that tunnel out there because he knew he was going to be needed. He goes in, but he might have actually bit off a little bit more than he can chew. Max and Maha trying to get away from there. Pure does land a hook, but is it a little bit too much? A miss there on, okay, the Glacial Fissure actually misses as well. The Witcher's Bite also missed.
This is one of the wonkiest team fights.
Beyond, he's going beyond the lanes. Beyond, you gotta get out of there, man. Oh, the flash actually. Oh, he hasn't been hit. No, Coco.
Wow, he maintained that
seconds away. Yeah, that's actually really impressive. I'm not sure. Coco, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're not making it to mid lane that way, man. So a little bit comedic there on Beyond. I actually thought he was going to either give the kill to Chaser or not give kills to anyone.
Well, it's better than giving a kill and an assist.
That is true.
So
he still gave experience to Chaser for being in the area.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like you said, denying a little bit of gold. Now here comes Ian. Explosive cast not up. Can Ian out micro this? He does have the wall there, but Pierce got flashed.
Yeah,
so.
he walls them a little bit closer. They're going to be rewarded. Okay. Well.
Who gets the kill? Okay. Whoa! Oh my God! If he had outplayed that, I would have just...
I think he could have if he flashed.
That would have been crazy. He does still have flash and teleport both available. If he had flashed there at the last second and escaped, like, Faker's got to, you know, dial him up for some tips, man.
Yeah.
That would have been so sick. Unfortunately, the play does not get made. Ian does go down, maybe saving his flash to make a play with it a little bit later on. Max and Maha on the rotation up to top lane. Same situation here for Pure and Fury a little bit behind the curve there. What's behind this rotation by everybody up top?
Well, this is a little bit peculiar from Longzhu, especially with Dragon coming up. It looks like Longzhu trying to take opportunity of capturing the top lane now because they won't get another chance to do so for a little while, considering Gnar was so far behind in the early game. They're missing a little bit more tower damage than they would like to have, but it's not going to be so problematic. But now also, with the willingness for both teams to devote attention to top lane, I almost have to think that Dragon is their Dragon.
Okay, well, we will see whether or not your prediction is correct. You're always trying to ruin the suspense, LS. We'll find out here in a little bit exactly which Dragon that is. Of course, we only get 3 different Dragons every game, much like in the season finale of a certain show today. Ended with a few Dragons there, too. Of course, no spoilerinos in here. And it will be a...
Water Drake, just as bad at this point. So Basically, Cloud Drake and Water Drake have basically the same worth post 10 minutes. Because the HP and the mana that you get from the regeneration out of combat is just completely negligible. They completely gutted the dragon a few patches ago, and now it's not really worthwhile unless you capture it around the 10-minute mark. Because then the laning phase still goes on, you poke, you know,
oh, ADD just walked into a little bit of trouble. He walked off, and Longzhu are actually going to disengage from the dragon. Now it's still maintaining aggro, although it will reset, so they will have to start it up all over again. So that's actually kind of good, but oh man, mid lane might be a little bit spicy. Ian, Maha, Max do disengage successfully, and back to bear, or dragon. Yeah, that thing.
Yep. Back to that thing. So unfortunately though, not a Mountain Drake or an Inferno Drake.
I would have called it by its name if it had been, but it's just a thing for now. That dragon that you do to get the good ones. Okay, Chaser wants to make something happen here.
I think he could have ultied.
He had Explosive Cask, yeah.
Yeah, I think he could have ultied ADD and he could have been chained by
oh wow, ADD take the entire thing. And now back to Dragon, all right. There's a ward in the pit. Has not been cleared out, so MVP will know about this. They probably will not be able to stop it. Oh my gosh, he was going in for it, but they might actually be able to make something happen. Double walls out there, the color in the wall. Beyond ult, wait, he did ult.
Yeah, he
ulted over. He ulted back over the wall. All right. I feel like that's what the tunnel's there for, but they couldn't take it quite so quickly. It was still on cooldown. Who's fighting? Is this a good fight, a bad fight? Who knows? ADD knows. It is not looking too good for him. He does have the rest of his team there. And that's like one of those slap fights. You're like, you're fighting, but you're not really fighting. You're just trying to push the other person's buttons. ADD is in a little bit of a rough spot. He is forced to flash, so I guess that is the biggest takeaway from all that.
I've never seen
frustration.
Such spread out team comps such spread out team fights in a pro match ever. I'm so
glad we had that zoom out feature this time around. Like, that's actually so sick. So we could see the entire fights, all of them, all together.
Yeah. So right now, MVP devoting attention to defending that top lane turret is actually quite nice, because realistically, there's no way for Longzhu to break the mid tier 1 tower right now, with Anivia protecting that. So the problem is Longzhu has no real response to a 3-man top from MVP, and they can't really look to team fight right now, and they can't capture mid lane turret. They can't really capture you know, the vision control that they need on the left-hand side of the map that would be beneficial, you know, in the next coming 2 to 3 minutes in order to capture that tier 1 top tower. So what they're going to end up doing is trading, but these trades are ultimately going to be more beneficial for MVP, given that top lane turrets are generally luxury towers.
And what do you think about this Trundle build? He went Tiamat into Frozen Heart. Like, I barely ever see Frozen Heart in general. It's been maybe a little bit more popular this season, but I've never seen it rushed before.
Yeah, Frozen Heart I think is definitely a little bit interesting here. Now Gragas generally does run attack speed runes, just, you know, to attack, so I guess that'll slow him down.
Well, it's weird because usually you pick it against attack speed based 80 carries, but Jhin doesn't function off of attack speed, like he has a constant one.
Well, does it lower his whole... I actually don't personally know the interaction. Does it lower, like, all of his AD?
I believe it does lower the scaling, but...
That would be really wonky if it lowers his AD.
This is where you hit up at Rapid Casting or at LSXYZ9 and let us know about that. That is actually kind of weird. This is like the homework. See,
yeah, I don't know the interaction.
A lot of other casts are, you know, we as casters talk to you as an audience, and it's very non-interactive. Well, this is the interaction portion of the cast. We like to get you guys involved, but oh no, Max, don't do it!
Oh, but that is a Braum
Oh, it's actually a good setup there. Ian with so much damage. The wall's coming in. They built it, and now they're gonna make Longzhu pay for it. Over the wall, Ian with a lot of damage, and the Flash Frost for the kill. MVP turn around what Longzhu thought was a pick, and ADD's gonna go for the and one. Turns around with the subjugate, but no more kills to be had there. MVP come out with a kill of their own.
Yeah, and I mean, that Fury is probably furious, if you know what I'm talking about, shooting all those bullets into Max's shield. So, you know, that is going to be a problem later on, because we talked about one of Longzhu's win conditions is going to be vision-based, you know, objective control, and then, you know, winning through not getting caught out by the pillars and the Anivia walls. And if they can do that, then they can successfully counter pick or, counter engage MVP, when the Sivir ultimate is down, and look to make victories via that. But they need the Unbreakable in order to be down for Fury to really provide all that CC and high damage output.
Ian's going to be fully stacked here on both of his stacking items in maybe a couple more minutes. He's in 8 stacks for Rod of Ages, and I think he had like 600 stacks on tier, so he's getting up there.
Yep.
As we near the end of the mid-game, late game, it's coming up, but oh man, who's looking for what? Beyond's in position here. We do have both of those walls up top as well.
Oh man. Okay. Well, had they committed to trying to take the top tier 1 tower, that would have been the most insane trap.
Really great setup. Very similar to the last fight we had up there, so maybe fresh in Longzhu's mind, they don't want to go for that. This whole time, Xpeke's been sitting bottom lane, and he has a 47 CS lead on ADD, who started the game like 15 CS ahead of him thanks to that early first blood, so Xpeke's going to be a little... Xpeke, there we go. Gotta fix my vocal cords there. Xpeke's going to be a monster. He's completed 2 very, very strong items. An early Frozen Mallet means ADD is going to struggle to stay in lane.
Yep. And now the problem is going to be the posturing. Now, what is the next? Now, I see pings going down on the next dragon.
Okay.
All right. Well, that could mean that it is...
What might... Oh, it is another Ocean Drake.
Never mind.
No. Oh, well.
Well, they do have to block it, because this will be the tier 2 Ocean Dragon.
That is true. And as much as we may malign the Cloud Drake or the Ocean Drake, anytime you get 3 or 2 or 3 of just about any dragon, it's going to start to be a little ridiculous. Like for Ocean Drake, if you get 3 of them, you actually just heal the full every time you're not fighting.
Right.
If you get 3 Cloud Drakes, you actually are ridiculously fast when you go for rotations around the map. So if you get enough of them, anything's worthwhile. 2 Ocean Drakes would be a little bit more than MVP feel comfortable giving.
Yeah, and you can, well, we just saw a temporary glance at the gold differential between champions. But, the gold score right now is currently really, really even, and I wish I could say that it benefits one team over the other, but honestly, it doesn't, right now, because these team comps they're relatively even when paired up against each other, and it really just comes down to who plays it out better.
Okay, well, Chaser has struggled early, but he's got the best score on his team. So you really can't fault him too much. Fury's on a huge power spike there with the Duskblade of Drakthar completed. Same situation for Ian. We talked about his stacking items. Fully stacked up right now. He's got the Seraph's Embrace and Rod of Ages both stacked up. And here we go. Starting the aggro out on Ocean Drake number 2 for Longzhu.
Looks like MVP needs to call on Shenron.
Beyond's got the spine. No, he does not. He drops it, and Chaser's going to pick it up. Now, Big Hero Plague will actually heal up Coco, so he's going to be in this fight for a very, very long time. Xpeke about to hit that Rage Bar, but he's not Mega Narg just yet. Look at ADD. He's taking up the entire rest of the team. He's got to get out of there. And Max actually forced a flash over the wall. Maha still has a lot of damage to dish out. Beyond, though, is going to be the first one to pick up the kill. So here comes the curtain call. Max is going to drop, and that's going to be the first kill. Maybe some more to come out here. Nice spell shield there by Maha. No slows. And a nice wall.
Yeah,
get
nice
the rest
wall
of MVP out.
Now, I did mention how both of these team comps are relatively even, and that was basically one of the best scenarios that Longzhu could hope for, with a beautiful, just straight-up cookie-cutter flank from Xpeke. The problem is, though, is that the more extended the fight goes, even though you have a Vladimir, that generally benefits from sustained fights, MVP is a lot more durable, and they're a lot stronger in 3-on-3 scenarios. So here you see this team fight break out, and, Maha arrives a little bit late to the fight. Ian, kind of on top, so he doesn't have the best wall to start the fight. So the fight started off a little bit wonky. ADD gets caught up into the front line, and then Xpeke demands too much attention in the back. Now, interestingly enough, they were able to turn it temporarily for MVP, but then Fury's ultimate comes out, shuts down Max, and it almost enables them to also capture Maha. So
the spell shields have actually been super good this game. Yeah. So glad to see those are on point. Unfortunately for MVP, with that team fight win, Longzhu's able to cash in for a bunch of cool items. It's Zhonya's Hourglass complete for Coco, huge item there, and I actually thought it was going to be the completion on that Last Whisper for Fury. Instead, he's going for an Infinity Edge coming up next, so that is going to make him deal a ridiculous amount of damage. And he's already beating the average for LCK gens.
Yeah. And, I mean, an impressive game so far. Now, Chaser, again, you mentioned
Krugs.
he had the best KDA, despite his...
This is more important than any analysis you could be doing. The Krug battle, the Krug life, it was in danger there.
Right.
Unfortunately, no one actually cares about the Krug, and now we have to talk about things that actually matter, like strategy and...
Well, the thing that's interesting is both Trundle and Gnar both actually threaten backdoor potential. Gnar generally doesn't always do that, but because of the build order that he elected to go...
A wall in there on Chaser, he does get stunned out, and blue buff is taken by Beyond, so as long as you deny that from Ian, but it's still taken by MVP.
Yeah. So like I was saying, because of Gnar's itemization build with the Black Cleaver Frozen Mallet, he does actually deal damage. And so it can get problematic because one of the options for Gnar is to actually split push when that's not always going to be the case every single time with every Gnar build.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm actually kind of worried for ADD as he scales up here. Does not have a lot of armor. Oh, there's the Prey Seeker. Nice. You buy the Proto Belt to counter the wall. That's the play right there.
That's how you use it. Yep. That's like a QSS for terrain.
I'm going to QSS the ground off. Wait, what?
Yep.
Okay, Longzhu starting off this Baron completely unwarded, but Tremor Sense will reveal their clever machinations around that objective, or for that objective. You don't have machinations around things. But Longzhu will back off.
One thing I'm surprised I'm not seeing more of is Jin's plants.
ADD is actually getting crushed.
Traps. Yeah, he's getting pretty bullied.
Trying to CS.
Oh, he has
TMF.
Bandit.
He still missed that. Okay, I mean, sometimes every little bit of gold actually helps.
It's just a little bit interesting considering Trundle would benefit so much from the HP and the mana restoration inside of team fights.
That is very true.
So the Bandit, a little bit interesting. I also hope that Jin is actually highlighted when Trundle approaches him, just so we can see if his AD goes down.
Well, you do get a bunch of gold every few seconds if you do land those melee auto attacks, and for Trundle, chomp's pretty easy. Maybe talk about that a little bit later on. Now, Beyond is sitting on a ward, so he's been scouted out. He knows it now. Baron down to half HP. So sooner or later, as long as you have to make this decision, but Chaser can't actually get out of there. He's going to take the Lantern. So a nice way to enable that. Oh, Max actually does have his ultimate kind of canceled, but it still goes off. There's the slow field. Look at Ian from the back. So much damage, but can they continue this fight? Here comes the curtain call, and now MVP might be in a little bit of a rough disengage. Coco does die there to ADD Subjugate. Taken out of the fight. Beyond trades his life for a 1-for-2 exchange in MVP's favor.
Wow.
I thought that was going to go very badly.
I didn't think Coco would fall there, and I just thought it would be a 1-for-1.
Well, still take damage from damage over time in that Sanguine pool. Too sanguine there for his tastes. And we're going to watch this again.
We're going to watch this replay, and you see that they're starting the Baron, but they don't have the ability to burst it down. So when NewBee gets there and the wall can come up, it's all too easy for MVP to basically dissuade them off that Baron. Pure instantaneously blown up there, and then Beyond gets knocked back into the team. Fury starts his ultimate. There's not going to be an Unbreakable here. And then Coco, I thought he was going to get away there, but Trundle ultimate too good, and it manages to take him down. So MVP comes out really ahead. Now, it's important to note that Longzhu has almost all of their flashes up, with the exception of Chaser and Pure. And the summoner spells for Longzhu are much more important than the summoner spells for MVP.
Because of all that terrain.
Because of all the terrain altering, right.
Right. Well, one other player who's also been super good as you were finishing up that team fight has been Xpeke, a lot of movement speed, don't want to overchase, has been Fury. Fury just completed his Infinity Edge. He's got Ionian Boots of Lucidity 2, so lots of spells coming out, and his crits are going to hurt so much. This is, I don't want to say like the most power spikiest, but it's a big one for Fury. He's been putting out so much damage. I wouldn't even be surprised if Longzhu do lose to see Fury out damage most of MVP. He's been putting out so much of it. But the other guy on the other side, Ian, picked up at least one of those kills in the last fight, and for Nanivia, he's in a great place as well. Who's stronger as far as power spikes go right now as we get ready for this next Ocean Break?
Well, if the MVP's team comp goes into a sustained fight scenario, they're a lot stronger than Longzhu, especially if it gets down to a nail biter like 3v3. If you have a Sivir Nanivia Trundle against a Jin Vladimir, no, this is
Start
gonna
this
MVP.
out. Neither team overstepping their boundaries too much.
They can't lose this,
Right.
by the way. This would
Triple
be...
Ocean Drake would be absolutely nightmarish. Now, Beyond is on top of the dragon. He's going to go for the smite there. I didn't actually catch who got it. It does actually look like MVP have secured their first dragon of the game. Nice smite there from Beyond. Does grab that and deny the Triple Ocean Drake.
Actually, really interesting decision here by MVP, knowing that had they attacked Longzhu had they chased them down that river or tried to fight inside the, the entrance into blue, it would actually be a very condensed area, which would be, oddly enough, beneficial for Longzhu, given that the CC and the terrain altering is down for MVP there. So it'd be a little weird turn of events where Longzhu actually would have the temporary terrain advantage.
Until they don't have it anymore, and then they just get walled into Anivia forever, and that would probably not be so great. But either way, nice smite there by Beyond, gets the dragon, and so that'll maybe even up the sustain just a little bit. Okay, well, the game continues just a little bit longer, and we're starting to get a little bit later on into the game, so no completed 6-item builds just yet, but you're starting to see Maha go for that Mortal Reminder and start to maybe get some extra telegraphs about what is coming up next, especially with the first Guardian Angel of the game, and we'll start to see a lot of that item for top laners this season. Now, ADD is going to be a little bit behind on that, but oh man, I actually really want to watch this because it seems like Xpeke, wow, actually Frozen Domain
And
makes you really fast.
All of a sudden, yeah, they just turn it right
And
around.
ADD's back up to full health. So, great. What a champion. What a player. ADD actually doing remarkably well. He's behind in CS, about 70 down, but he's not getting Flame Horizoned just yet, and he's certainly not feeding, so great participation from him.
Yeah.
Longzhu have seemed so willing to start and finish, or not finish, but to start and pressure this Baron area against MVP. Why do you think they're the ones setting up for these objectives so frequently?
Well, this is what I was talking about, where Longzhu, they need to win the vision fight. If they have the vision fight, then it becomes extremely awkward for MVP to really approach into team fights, because they don't know when they can make use of the Trundle Pillar. They need to know how to use the Anivia walls inside of the team fights, because MVP is much more reliant on the 5v5 than Longzhu is. But MVP does benefit, again, from a 3v3 or, a 2v2 scenario. In most scenarios, more so than Longzhu does. So the Vision War is a crucial part of Longzhu's ability to win the game.
Now ADD is starting to actually get chunked. I said actually twice there. That's how actual it is. It's super actual. Down in the bottom lane, everything is not satisfactual for ADD as he just tries to do his best to clear out the wave. Thankfully, he will get
Used to just heal up.
What is his name? His passive is Decomposition.
I actually don't know the name of his
He's
passive.
basically, his passive is a compost pile. And as things die around him, he will get a percentage of their health back. And speaking of the devil, ADD back up to full health. What a champion. Also, Spirit
You could
Massage
actually go for a
didn't
trade
work
here.
there.
Xpeke stepping... not totally sure.
I think there was.
I think the trade actually could have been a lot more extended given Trundle's CDR. A pillar would definitely come up again. Yeah, this is what I was talking about.
Oh boy, bounces it back, doesn't cancel the pounce, but both bottom laners actually trading, and these aren't super tanks,
Right.
so those trades actually matter.
Yeah, and what I was saying was, had that trade actually occurred a little bit earlier, Xpeke could have gotten chunked a little bit more. But it looks like ADD not willing to overstep his boundary, and just, playing it safe.
And that is one big benefit of that Frozen Heart. It allows ADD the maximum mana pool to actually just continue super sustained trades down there. And, take less damage because less auto attack speed. And consequently less damage coming his way. So MVP, they're jumping into the mid lane. Max, no slow for you.
Now,
MVP
one thing
going for deep wards.
you will notice is the Solari Locket coming out for Beyond is actually going to be infinitely more valuable than the Guardian Angel on Chaser. So I'm a little surprised to see that Chaser didn't opt for Solari. And so now when it comes into the team fights, that extra HP that Beyond's going to be able to give to all of his teammates is going to be pretty big.
Well, it is double Solari for MVP, so they do have that on Max as well. And of course, Pure going to use that item primarily to negate all of the area of effect damage coming out from Ian. but could have alternative uses. Always a great item to pick up as a support. And Chaser going in for a little bit of counter jungle here, as long as you look to continue that ward dominance that you mentioned was so essential for their team comp. But man, look at ADD versus Expansion. He's going to throw down that Subjugate, so he is in a great spot to dish out this damage. But one thing good little old Nard does is kite away, and so Trundle kind of feeling the struggle. He may be king of his domain, but not when everybody's running away from him.
Yep. And it looks like we might be in for another 50-minute Baron dance.
Well, keep in mind,
I believe it was Longzhu, right, against Samsung?
That is true. It was. It was a Baron dance that lasted.
Wow, they're even in gold with 9-9 to kills. That's a conspiracy. 6-6-9.
Yeah, the only
Illuminati.
difference are those 2 additional dragons that Longzhu has. I actually just watched a movie called Conspiracy.
Do you know that 3
yesterday.
plus 6 equals 9?
I feel like that. Oh, wow. Ian almost got that stolen away, but nice. Grab that away. Yeah, man, you're actually doing math on stream.
3 towers plus 3 dragons equals 6, which is one of the 6 digits of their 66,000 gold.
Oh my god.
This is going to turn into Jim Carrey as the number 23.
Yeah, man, you're going a little bit too long.
That's why they saw the devil.
Yeah.
You see?
That is the title for this episode.
That's why.
But here we go into the Baron pit. For MVP, they're actually the ones to start this Baron up, as opposed to Longzhu, who's been so willing to do it before. Maha kind of in the front lines there as he gets ADD and beyond to zone for him. Now, an incomplete wall there. Coco's being zoned out, but he gets a big crit there from Ian's spell damage. That Flash Frost chunking him down. A lot of damage from this. Oh my god, that half health Ian. Holy cow, it turns out Curtain Call, you better show up for that because Fury's dropping it on you. Longzhu, now they are the one inside the Baron pit, starting it back up again. And here we go, LS. Back at it again with the Baron baits.
Back at it again.
A big dance around here. Beyond's in steal range. He could definitely go in there, but I don't think Longzhu will drop it low enough for him to be beneficial.
If they want to get into a smite fight, it looks like.
Oh my god, Fury! He just walked right in there, and the flash boomerang's not going to hit from Maha. Baron actually still dealing a little bit of damage here to MVP, but okay, can they get past the wall? That wall actually helped Longzhu a little bit, but a nice Trundle pillar. ADD's got a team behind him, but he's in the front.
This is actually very interesting to watch. With Elder Dragon being up, I mean, these fights are a lot more dicey than they appear.
No deaths.
And they are going to get the Scuttle Crab. And that's really, really, really big because that is so much vision and power.
And here's that Ocean Drake starting to come in, man. You're out of combat. You're going to get that healing back. Coco makes it out with that Sanguine Pool. Oh, he's Expansion caught. Oh my god. There's the flash. There's the knockup. Oh man, Expansion does have a Guardian Angel. It's going to get popped here. Will Chaser and the rest of Longzhu turn around and try to save him? He does get Mega Gnar, so he's super tanky, but not tanky enough. Ian takes him down, and finally we do find some consequential kills for MVP.
Yeah, and I mean, with Xpeke going down there and him being the only teleport, not that he has it, probably going to mean this translates into a free Baron, and it would actually be really interesting to see if Ian can lock up Chaser.
Can you make up for that top lane gank earlier on? The wall behind, going in for the steal! A valiant effort, but unable to steal that away from MVP. We'll get a 5-man Baron buff. Nice save there by the Lantern to help Chaser get out alive, but wow. MVP just pushed all the right buttons, and now they are the one in the driver's seat at 41 minutes.
Yeah, and now they have one last hope, which is going to be Elder Dragon. If they can't secure this Elder Dragon, it's probably going to be lights out. Now, this Elder Dragon is a lot more beneficial for them than it would be for MVP, given that they have 3 dragons already. But it looks like MVP, with those Baron Enhanced recalls, they're already in position. And if they're in position, that means that they have a huge advantage, because look at these chokeholds.
Oh, man. On the hunt pops.
Wow.
Longzhu aren't even going to contest that. You said that was like their only way back into the game.
Well,
it's like that WikiHow article on how to accept, well, in this case, defeat. They could definitely use with some of that because they are staring right down the barrel of a big Trundle and an equally big MVP Baron buff, Elder Drake buff. You know, the additional power behind that Ocean Drake that they have. But either way, just an incredibly strong MVP roster. 4-1ing it right down the mid lane.
Yep. And looks like they are executing now a 1-4-0, which is a proper move to do right now. And now after this, they should probably just unite as 5 in the top lane. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that. But if they could unite as 5 in the top lane, given that is the most luxury turret to take and the inhibitor, they don't need to go for any game-ending plays right now. They could just do very safe and methodical plays, trying to capture that top tier 3 turret and inhibitor. And that applies a very, you know, minor but noticeable amount of pressure to Longzhu, and it opens up the threat for a game-ending push off of the next potential Baron if they can't find a game-ending play within the next few, you know, 5-6 minutes.
Now, Xpeke actually triggered his Mega Gnar a little bit early, so that'll be running out by the time MVP go to siege this bottom turret. It does look like they are a little hesitant to commit to it.
And so now changing from the 1-4-0 into the 0-1-4 is more indicative of them saying that they want to end the game now. This is a much more aggressive play than the 5-0-0 or the 1-4-0.
Oh, Ian getting caught out there. Oh, hook lands, and that's going to be a big omelet to be made. He is in that egg form. He's trying to revive from it, but Fury's not going to let him. He's going to take down the bird there. ADD now, he's the one trying to run away on that frozen domain. Is able to avoid the slow there from that boomerang. Xpeke going to have to try to throw out another one. Does hit Beyond. Beyond on the run there, but a nice pillar backwards. It's the Bash Bros, the buddy system between ADD and Beyond that will allow them to escape. Ian, not quite so lucky. He ran into everything.
Yep. And I don't think that Longzhu's going to get that lucky next time around. You know, credit to them, as we're about to see in a replay here. They do go bird hunting, so they are playing duck hunt right now.
Yeah, and this hook, oh, so beautiful there by Pure.
And that was just a fantastic catch. They managed to get the, you know, they delete Ian from the fight, and then it's basically them just trying to chase down MVP, but they're not going to catch anyone. They do have the Trundle pillars, and nothing's more going to come from that. Now, seeing them launch an assault like this, now you look at their top lane, that is really nice for them, considering that they're behind. Now, generally, that is also nice for MVP, but hold that
on to ADD. He does have subjugate. He will be forced to pop that one. Now, Fury actually dropping a little bit low. There's a lot of shields coming out from the Solari, but Chaser now taking a lot of damage there from Maha, who will spell shield. Everything coming his way. LZ on the retreat here. A big pillar. Gonna catch a couple of them now. There's another death sentence onto ADD. A big knock up there from the flash in on Beyond, and they're finally gonna chomp their way to some kills. ADD, he's eating his vitamins and his Wheaties and just about everything else that he needs. Here comes a teleport in from Ian though. On the flank, a big wall. Chaser, he's gonna have to body slam the opposite direction. Will they go for him or will they go for the gold? They are going into the base MVP.
I think you can just tank turret here.
Win the fight.
Yeah, you can just tank turret.
Chaser's going to pull a Marin and proxy that wave, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to go in there. But ADD is a big, bad Trundle. He's going to take that turret like you just said, LS, and that's going to be first inhibitor for MVP.
Yeah. And with that inhibitor, they're just going to back off, and this is very dangerous now because this means that with double teleport being up for MVP, well, not currently on Anivia, but having double teleport, it opens up the realm of possibility that if Longzhu butchers a fight too badly, you know, it can just spell game over now. Now, the top lane being as big as it is, I talked about how it was both good for both teams, and that's something that's very rare in pro play. You know, how can something be good for both teams simultaneously, which is technically neutral via the minions? It was good for Longzhu because they needed breathing room, and they needed something to be synergistic with them. And also, as we can see off the Baron power play, 2,400 gold coming out of that. But the benefit from that wave for MVP is they get a huge chunk of gold if they manage to sustain through Longzhu's counter assault, which they clearly did.
Certainly did. So for Longzhu, they were able to get in there, steal a blue buff away, and push everything out. They haven't established too many deep wards here. They're going to wait for this red buff, try to steal that one away, and wow. Okay, Fury is on that next level of damage right now. He is a monster. Full 6 items across the board. He hasn't sold his boots or anything yet. Okay, ADD. That's what we like to colloquially call fronting, right there. You're like, hey man, I can actually totally kill you. And Pure's like, wait, no, you actually can't. He just walks away. So MVP, now they are the ones back on the offensive, right up the mid lane. They've taken the bottom lane inhibitor, and they're looking for one more.
Yep, and it looks like here, MVP just going for a very standard the 0-5-0 assault, and they can do this because of the advantage that they have and also the angle in which they're approaching this fight. It's very difficult for Longzhu to find an opening without any sort of flank wards. And Gnar doesn't even have teleport, even if he wanted to try to look for a flank. And with Baron, oh my god.
Wow. MVP doing a great job of clearing out those flank wards. I mean, especially, like you said, doesn't have TP, but just in case, that would have been a good ward to go on.
Especially having a tough time in bot lane versus the super minions.
That is true. Turns out, over 3,000 gold put into a frozen mallet does not help you clear out super minions at all. I guess the Black Cleaver's going to be pretty effective, but Xpeke, he is relegated. He's the janitor of the team. He's just clearing out that bottom lane. Does eat a ton of CS down there, and he still has a 60 CS advantage over ADD. So as far as that 1v1 matchup goes, not that that's ever going to be super impactful, but we talked about how their split push could actually be relevant if they were ever in that situation, but now they're not. A big guess sense lands on a Maha. He does QSS that. Wow, Maha gets exploded! But Fury, he's actually the one in a little bit of a rough spot. He's trying to turn that damage around, and he busts ADD. ADD now, he's going to be the one to go down through his Guardian Angel. That's going down, and MVP, do they have the opportunity to win the game? There are minions in the base. Can they go for this cheeky teleport? ADD's is up, Ian's is not. ADD is down, though, and what was Maha doing there?
I don't
Good
really
pick by
know.
Pure, I guess, but Maha, his death, and then ADD's subsequent attempt at killing Fury to try to even the score fails, and that's going to be a Baron buff for Longzhu.
Yeah, I don't really know what was going on there. You had Ian and Max starting Baron, and everyone else was separate. That just didn't look normal.
Well,
I don't know how to feel about that.
That Maha, like the route that he chose to walk to Baron, watch
I
this
mean,
pick.
look at this.
He's right up against the wall.
Well, I mean, two of them are choosing to fight, and Beyond is choosing to go into Baron. I mean, is their microphones working? I don't know on it. And then, on top of that, ADD just continues to commit, and no one is reacting.
If he had suicided and killed Fury, maybe that's worth it. But unfortunately, Fury, like we said, actually just does bonkers damage.
It's the point that two of them were fighting, and one of them was leaving.
Right.
At the same exact time.
And the other two for MVP were on Baron, so...
I don't know... I actually don't know what to say.
A little bit of miscommunication there. MVP, 50 minutes in, you cannot afford to make those mistakes. Now ADD, he's up at the front line. He's going to get the chomp down onto Chaser. Are MVP going to commit to this? Chaser trying to turn things back around. Now Pure off the side gets zoned by a pillar. ADD does take a little bit of damage there from the Blood Rush on Coco, but Chaser's really the one to get chunked out there, down below half HP.
Yeah. And looks like now Xpeke, I mean, the inhibitor is going to be coming back up soon for Longzhu.
Maha almost has his ult back up again, too, so we can go right back in for that on-the-hunt play.
Yeah.
What do you think about that execution there for MVP? Was that the play that they needed to make, just running Longzhu down? Did they hesitate on committing to it? What's their win condition here?
All they really need to do is they need to use Maha's on the hunt in order to solidify a kill via the Anivia wall or a Trundle pillar, and if they can do that, then they can instantly translate it into an objective.
All right, well, Longzhu are going to go for an objective, that namely being this top lane push. MVP don't seem too worried about it, but slow and steady wins the race here for Longzhu as they push in. Oh, nice flash cross stun. There's a big wall chaser. He's going to pull a Maha, or I guess that's more of an ADD because he lost the Guardian Angel too, and he is out of there. No smite here, and a big pick by Ian.
Yep, and that is catastrophic right now for Longzhu, because that is a lot of gold now that's going to be picked up for MVP.
Although less catastrophic, because they can't take Baron or Dragon.
Well, now they can take
Okay, they can actually take Dragon. It's up in 30
Dragon's
seconds.
coming up in 30 seconds, so, and their jungler being down means that there is no smite contestant, and there's no one on the team, with the exception of maybe a 4th Jhin Bullet, that can actually outsmite Beyond.
That is true. Fury does, like I said, bonkers damage. It's actually disgusting. I want to watch him crit these minions up here. Just take a, okay. And, okay, we should go back up to top lane and see one of those.
I really wanted to see Trundle get next to Jhin.
Just so you can
I'm
see
still waiting.
how much damage he does to a tank. He has Lord Dominic's too, so he's not trying to cut the Trundle healing. He's actually just trying to kill it, if that is the target. But like you said, no jungler means no contest there on that Elder Drake. And for the second time this game, MVP come away with the Elder Dragon. Now, Longzhu are the ones with Baron buff, so trying to get together to use that in lane, but Xpeke wisely retreating in time, unable to find the objective.
Yep, and well, now it looks like they're both going back to posturing, and MVP gonna have this dragon buff for a little while longer, so definitely expect them to make use of it sometime soon. But Guardian Angel, is that bugged? It's not moving. I don't know if Guardian Angel is actually up for Trundle.
Oh, Maha out on a little bit of an adventure. Does have Ian with him, but oh, Longzhu. They're actually going to go for the pick on ADD. No way! ADD walks in, the face check, not the direction he was looking to go. That's the dark wood, but oh no, MVP, they're gonna go for the win. They're actually gonna go for like the KT-esque backdoor. They're in the base. They will get at least a free inhibitor here. No Baron buff on Longzhu means that they will have slower recalls back to base, and a nice cut there by MVP does get them that objective takedown. Now, Xpeke was trying for a flank, but he almost gets flanked himself. Unable to find those boomerangs to land, and was that worth it?
Well, I mean, the kill onto ADD isn't totally worth it. You know, in any case, I think that they could have just stayed top lane and conceded their inhibitor because there was no minions, so there's no way for them to actually continue to tank the turrets without mountain breaks, which they don't have.
I was going to say, we've only seen 2 dragons this game, so we don't even know what that third mystical dragon was that never made it out there.
Yeah.
And clouds and oceans. It's a little bit of inclement weather here for the dragons, but oh man, Chaser, holy cow. I'm just like so scared because at any moment a random member of either team could just get picked off. We saw Maha walk next to a wall and get hooked. Chaser walked in and got walled off and wound up dying and giving away that Elder Dragon to MVP. ADD has consistently gone in and gone down after overcommitting or overextending, and I just want these teams to stay together, fight these 5v5s, and which team do you think would come out on top? All things being equal, everything played perfectly. Who's got the advantage at this point? Because we're hitting that late game.
We're going into that super late game. The problem is the MVP, they're of the ability to actually sell their boots the longer this game goes on because of On the Hunt and also because of the terrain altering. So they're going to have an extra item slot that they can allocate stuff to, whereas Vladimir can maybe trade out his boots for Luden's Echo. Where, you know, I guess Jin can trade out his boots because of the way that he plays out team fights. But some of the other players are not going to be as fortunate as MVP in that they are going to be able to be granted an extra item, and Baron coming up again, so...
MVP doing a great job retreating back and clearing out all those potential flank wards that Xpeke might be able to use to get around behind him. Baron, like you said, is coming up, and it'll be interesting to see who gets into position first for that. Longzhu have had great ward coverage, like you said, was so essential to their success early on. Actually up in kills, and they were actually up in, gold for a little bit, but now down about 4,000 gold. But when you both have about 100,000, at some point gold becomes a little bit less of a major issue.
Yeah.
We've successfully funded all 10 players here. The Summoner's Rift welfare is kicking in. I guess this is more like, you know, they paid their social security, so now they get retirement. But you can't retire just yet. You actually have to win the game first. And we are almost an hour into this series. Janair Green Wings were for the longest time, the longest game time in LCK. But no, not anymore. I think Samsung and Longzhu are ahead of them now. So
yep.
The game goes on.
Wow, that Baron is actually getting...
Wow, yeah, it turns out that Maha and Ian deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and wow, Chaser can't even get in range fast enough, and he might even have to get away faster. to escape with his life. There's the Subjugate going to start to draw those tanky stats out. Xpeke flips himself into the middle of the enemy team, but he can't even transform before he dies. He will come back here and transform into Mega Gnar. He's an immediate Gnar into the wall, and he is actually out of there now. Coco might be in a little bit of a rough spot. Does actually get away thanks to that Sanguine Pool. Oh man, a big pillar. They can't actually make it back, but Beyond's going to commit to it. A big bounce backwards off that play, but Ian's going to pick up the kill on the Pure. Another nice pillar, but Coco once again with that Sanguine Pool. Beyond's going in for it, chilling, smite, and no more commitment.
Well, that was a little bit bizarre. Now they're going to pick up the mid inhibitor here. They could actually possibly even go for the game.
Yeah, they might be looking for it. You hear some applause from the crowd, and
well, see, that teleport's a little bit premature. You could easily teleport on the minion that would tank the towers.
Now they
so right now, they could have deleted the towers from the fight.
Okay, well, Beyond is actually doing that. He is the one taking up the turret. They are actually going to go for this. Now, can Longzhu turn this one back around? Now, Beyond is actually going to drop that aggro, but Maha's the one in a little bit of trouble. He is off to the back, and he's actually still dishing out damage. The Nexus drops an MVP in a 58-minute game. We'll take a 13-13 win over Longzhu in our first game of this best-of-3 series.
Yep. And, I mean, that's what I meant there. In that last team fight, you just saw that Longzhu, the longer the fight goes on, the worse and worse it gets for them. They were so reliant on being able to nuke someone out of the fight. And interestingly enough, that's actually what MVP's team comp is designed to do with that pseudo-pick aspect. That's one of the gears that their team comp enables them to do.
I cannot wait to see this damage graph.
Yeah, the damage graph is
guys
be
like
insane.
Fury went 6-1-3. We saw that stat about him, bringing the damage on Jhin. He out-damages. He has almost double the damage of every other Jhin, of the average Jhin performance from LCK. But he has a 25% win rate on it, so it's kind of a struggle because he does so well. He's just kind of, it's like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. He's really Wonka, and he's got these Oompa Loompas around him trying to run around and make this happen. Now, a little bit harsh there on the analogy, but Fury did an incredible job for Longzhu, and have to step it up for game 2. Meanwhile, on the other side, for MVP, who would you give the MVP to? Because they had a lot of standout performances.
I guess. Oh, geez, that one's actually well, it can't be ADD.
Right. So
he almost had a 1-to-1 KDA, which was pretty impressive. He also only, I think he had less than, oh no, he had just over 50% kill contribution.
Now, Beyond had all those sick early ganks to snowball those lanes.
Yeah.
Ian crushed it with the score. Those walls that he put up with were insane. Caught out Chaser a couple times.
I think it goes to Beyond.
I'd either say Beyond or Ian.
Yeah, it has to be Beyond or Ian. I can't see an argument for Max or Maha.
We are ferreting out the MVP. Who's it going to be? We will find out if we come back from a short commercial break, so you guys do not want to miss it. Go grab some snacks and come back for game number 2. Longzhu versus MVP coming up next.